Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As most of y'all know, I have studied at UCL, which is University College London, and I am currently also living in London. So, for most of my stay in the UK, I have been in London, which is one of the most expensive places in the world and one of the most expensive cities in UK. And so, in today's video, I will be sharing a rough estimate of what was my cost of living as a student, just so that you will be able to plan and stagger your cost when you consider coming to the UK so that you are better prepared for it. So, if you are interested in this content, let's get right to it. So, a little bit of a disclaimer before we move ahead, I would just like to say that all of these costs were just for me, and I was a single person living in London. So, they are not representative of family costs or if you are coming to UK as a couple. But coming to the first major cost in UK, and that's obviously the rent. So, accommodation is one of the biggest concerns when you come from any other country to London or to UK, and it can possibly take up more than 50% of your income as a part-time student or even more than that. So I have made a video previously about the different types of accommodation and finding yourself the cheapest accommodation that I'm going to leave the link to right now above. But let me just tell you what were my costs. So when I initially had come to UK, it was during the COVID time, and a lot of landlords had reduced their prices within London just because they weren't getting a lot of people to stay in them. So the rent that I paid initially was about £380 per month, which is again inclusive of all bills, including heating, water, electricity, Wi-Fi, and things like that. And that gradually increased up to £430 at the end of my stay, which was nearly 6 to 8 months later. So now one important thing that I would like to say is if you are a student, you obviously do not have to pay council tax. So keep that in mind. But also when you are looking for accommodation as a student, particularly in house shares or in private accommodation, that is private student halls, see that all of your bills are inclusive. That is, you are making a single payment which includes your rent, heating, electricity, gas, Wi-Fi, and all of the other additional costs such as broadband or TV licenses. Now, the second major thing that most of the students pay money on is obviously food. Now, I was working in Sainsbury's for nearly 20 hours while I was working as a student, and I have made a video previously on how to find yourself a part-time job. So if you are interested in that content, I'm just going to leave the link for that right now above. But let me just say that while I was working at Sainsbury's, I had some really good offers. For example, we had a 10% colleagues discount. And also at the end of the day, if certain items were not sold, we would have these reduced labels on them, where obviously the foods would get sold for lesser prices. And I would obviously take advantage of all of these offers. And so my budget was nearly £30 to £40 a month, which was nearly £10 a week. But I would say that if you are a student coming to UK, keep yourself nearly £50 to £60 just to be on the safer side, so that you receive all of your essential food items, including milk, cereals, eggs, and things like that. The next biggest, I think, expense would obviously be travel. Now, obviously, while I was studying in London, we were in COVID and most of our classes were online, so I did not have to travel much. So I actually saved a lot on my travel cost. But if you are going to be coming right now, I would say keep nearly around £60 to £80, provided that your accommodation is somewhere within reasonable distance from your university. So you could possibly use tubes or buses. And another point that I would want to share is actually use buses, because buses have cheaper travel as compared to tubes. For example, in London, if you use 3 bus rides, that's about £4.65, and you can make unlimited trips within that particular amount, that is within £4.65. So you can say go to university and come back, go for lunch and come back, go out for an outing in the evening and come back, all within £4.65, which I think is quite cheap. Now, the next cost that I think many of us would definitely need is mobile or data costs. Now, when I came from India to UK, I obviously received this Lebara SIM card from the visa office when I had gone over there. And Lebara has some really cheap offers for basically international calls and things like that. So the offer that I had used when I had initially come was £5 per month, which was obviously a no contract offer. So I had to pay £5 every month, and it gave me 2 GB of data with unlimited UK time and with 100 minutes of free outgoing to India, which I think was a total steal for me. But that being said, this has now been increased to £5 per month for 3 GB data, and all of the other offers still stand. Now, what I really, really enjoy about this is that I understand that 3 GB is not a lot, but we all usually have Wi Fi in our workplaces, that's our part time jobs, in our universities, and at our homes if we are paying for a particular broadband. So, that being said, I think 3 GB is something that I could work with. Now, obviously, if you have different levels of data usage, it could be higher for you, but that was what I used. The next biggest cost was obviously eating out and meeting friends, but again, because we were in COVID, I didn't really go out a lot during that period of time. But that being said, I would suggest that you keep nearly 60 to 80 pounds just in terms of, you going out, getting a cup of coffee with your friends, or even having a pizza or something like that, just so that you get to live a social life outside university and you get to enjoy yourself. Now, the next kind of expense that doesn't really happen but also does happen sometimes is any kind of miscellaneous costs or shopping. Now, for example, I would set aside nearly 50 pounds a month to spend on clothes, food, any kind of additional groceries that I would need from the Indian store, or, even as an emergency fund, just so that if I don't have a part time job in one particular month, or if I lose my part time job, I would still have some emergency money that I could use and would not have to depend on others. But obviously, I would keep around 50 pounds aside for this kind of expense every month. So my emergency fund gradually built up over the time that I was staying in UK as a student. And at the end of it, I actually used up my emergency fund to pay my visa fees to, change my visa from student visa to work visa. And if you are interested in knowing more about that, please just let me know in the comment section below, and I will try to make a video on it soon. And finally, coming down to the last expense, which is subscriptions. Now, I obviously did not have many subscriptions in the UK when I came as a student, because I obviously did not think that I could afford it. But some of the most common subscriptions among students is Netflix, and Netflix costs usually around £9.99 per month. Another major subscription I think that people use is gym subscriptions, but obviously you can try and get a deal on what is the most cheapest gym subscription out there for you. I've seen some subscriptions for nearly £20 a month for gym, but obviously as a student it can go further lesser. Now, an amazing deal that usually exists for students in UK is getting 6 months of Amazon Prime. So I used that and I was able to watch a lot of TV shows while I was studying, which obviously helped me be entertained because I did not have Netflix. And another subscription that I think a lot of people use is Spotify, but I could work with Spotify free, so I didn't really go for Spotify Premium. But that was just a side hack for me that I used to save money. But if you want, you can obviously go for Spotify. But yeah, I mean, including all in all, I think the total amount of spending that I would do every month was £700, which I think is something that obviously our part time jobs can give. And so I think it was fine. And also, while spending the £700, I still build up an emergency fund, which I could use at a later date. So this was my rough budget, but obviously a lot of this was in times of COVID where a lot of socializing was not happening, and possibly if I was living in a different time, I would have spent more. So that being said, I really, really hope that this video has given you some brief idea about what spending in the UK looks like. And if it did, please do not forget to hit the like button for this video. If you like this content, please, please, please do not forget to hit the subscribe button, just so that you receive all of the latest content from my channel. And finally, if you have any questions, doubts, comments, or feedback about this video, please do not forget to leave them down in the comment section below, and I will try to get back to them. But that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Take care, you all. Bye.